Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens. Today's live stream episode, Making the Writing for Streams book, episode number 3, A Lot to Learn. My name is Glenn Gers. I am the Chief Operating Everything here at Writing for Screens, a YouTube channel that I have built in order to share some skills and tools and insights that I had to figure out for myself in a 25-year career writing for TV and movies. On my way out of that business, I am trying to leave some things behind, share them without any system or grand plan, because I believe that every artist must make their own path. Every artist is different. Everyone wants to do different things, has a different reality, has different opportunities, and only you can figure out what way works for you to do the thing you are trying to do, to understand yourself, to know yourself. I can't give you that. No one can. Do not look for a system or a plan that's going to solve everything, because that is part of the job, solving it for yourself. Every artist has to do that. So in order to help with that, all I can do is show you some of the things that I've discovered over the years and say, try them, see if they work for you. If they do, great. If they don't use them. You don't have to. You got to figure it out for yourself. And in order to help with that, what I did was I put together, if you scroll down, there's a set of small, what I call lesson videos. These are the 10-minute, each are about 10 minutes long. There's about 50 of them. Each one is in the first 3 playlists on my screen. If you scroll down, this little screen capture of the current version of my home page. And if you scroll down, you'll see these 3 playlists. The first one is Screenwriting Essentials. The second one, Screenwriting School Tools, Skills, and Craft. And the third one, The Process, Being a Writer. Together, these 3 playlists collect about 50 10-minute videos. Each one has its own topic. The topic is in the title. The topic is in the thumbnail. You can't miss it. Big, bright letters on big, bright colored thumbnails so you can say, genre, flashbacks, character, dialogue, whatever the topic is. I've tried to make it really, really easy for you to find it without having to go through everything else. But I do urge you to look at these videos. These videos are going to tell you everything I have to tell you, but in a better way. They're there 24/7. You can stop them, you can pause them, you can go back, you can do whatever you need to do, because that is what you need to do for yourself. I can't figure it out for you. All I can do is report from the front. So what I am going to do today, what I'm doing today is a live stream, which I do every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time Zone. That is the time zone that I am in, the Pacific Ocean Standard Time Zone, 1 p.m. Wednesdays. I come on and I talk about a different topic. Every week, this week's topic is going to be about turning those 50 videos that I just talked about into a book. And of all the things I've had to learn as I'm doing that. All right. Okay. Let me say some hellos. Hello, Dialogue Craft. I gotcha. I understand. I am all right. Thank you for asking. Hello, Patrick. Very glad. Hello, Nishaj and Doreen. Skepular, is there anything you've unlearned about storytelling over the years? I will definitely get to that after I have finished today's topic. I always start with the topic that I bring in, and then after that I take questions. So Skepular, I will get to that. Thank you, Patrick. Patrick learns so much from watching the streams. That is a good thing for me to hear, honestly, because I am at a transition point, writing this book, trying to think about what I'm going to do with this channel, with this live streams, with my audience, with my future. And so to know that people actually feel like they learned something, because a part of me is like, why are people watching this? I don't understand. Hello, Jin. Oh, yes, thank you. I am really glad. Yeah, I think a lot of people like books, and we're going to talk about that, about the differences, and also what you do with a book when you're putting it together and when you're done with it. Hello, Tom. Hello, Akari. Very nice to see you. I don't think I've met you before. Hello, Pelicans. Good morning, good afternoon, and evening to you all. Thank you. A little bit of Truman Show. Hello, Thumper. All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about making this book because I am really learning how much I don't know. Let's talk about the beginning. The first thing, the book itself, the editing, the writing process is really going well. Actually, it's going fast. It's going well. If you don't remember the first, uh-oh, I'm so sorry. VYACC friend, you can always watch it. You can always watch it on recording. As soon as I am done recording it, it becomes a video that you can watch anytime, whenever you're awake. It's not, you don't, I mean, if you have a question and you're not live, just put it in the comments or send me an email through my website, writingforscreens.com. Anyway, don't do yourself dirty. Don't have bad health staying up in the middle of the night to watch this. You can watch it later. It's okay. The main thing that I want to teach you is this is all about turning it back to you. Oh, my eye. Turning it back to you, trying to get you to not rely on me, but to turn to yourself and say, what am I doing? How do I do this? That is the point. Hi, damn you all. Hello, Michael. Okay, so let's get to this. So the writing process is going very well. What I did was, as I've shown you in the last couple episodes of this series, I created a document in which I took the script from each of those videos, each of my 50 videos, and I took the words that I said into the camera, and I put them on the page, and I reformatted them instead of to be like a teleprompter version to be a reading version. Then I started rewriting them. I've gone through them about 4 times. And I want to talk again about this spiral process, the famous spiral process. There you go. The idea that for me, the most effective way to work is to do what you can at the moment and keep moving. And if you can't get something right, if it's not perfect, if you don't even know how to do a part, keep moving and then come back around, do it again, try a different way, start in a different place. Every time you come at it from a different way, you see different things and you can do different things. And very often, having gotten some pieces, when you come back through, other pieces that weren't working suddenly make sense. And I've really been discovering that with this book. There were certain chapters that were just not working, couldn't figure them out, even though they had worked as videos, and they were just disorganized, or I couldn't quite get the focus or the tone because I was changing it because it's not a video. I would go through it 3 or 4 times over the course of a month or 2 and not have any idea how to fix it. And then literally all of a sudden, one time through, I open it up, I look at it, and it's like, oh, I see it. I don't know how to explain that, except when you've come at it with other things that you've learned, they inform your ability to see things. You've made choices, you've made decisions, which then you unconsciously apply. You say, oh, I've decided to get more to the point or to not preserve jokes or whatever it is. And that's sort of percolating in the back of your head. When you look at this chapter, like, I see. I have too much intro there, or whatever it is. Anyway, so having gone through it, and gotten every chapter, little chapterlets into a form that I thought was pretty readable, I thought I need to look at it, but I can't see it anymore. I'm looking at the screen, looks fine. So what I did, even though I'm not used to doing this, is I printed it out. So it's about 237 pages printed. And that's what I've been doing. And I started going through, and I took a red pen. I bought a box of red pens because I had no use for red pens before. So I bought a box of those Staples red pens, and I started. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, like there's some. Can I get that? Can we get a witness here? Here. So what I do is, this is too big. I can't hold it. I can't keep track of it. So what I do is I take a section of pages, 10, 15 pages, and I put them on a clipboard. Much easier. And this is one where I'm doing a lot of work. So you can see, you can see without focusing that some things I'm just crossing out now and then. It's like, nah, that wasn't the right way, and I'm rewriting it. Um, and I'm just going through it. And some pieces are working better than others, but they're all moving ahead, and the whole thing is working. Is working. The process is working. I'm getting a manuscript to where I can show it to people and get their opinions. I don't want to show it to people when I still have things that I know I need to fix, because it's like they're going to say you need to fix it. I'll be like, I know. So that's not helpful. So instead, I'm trying to get it as good as I can, and then get it as presentable as I can. Things just like punctuation and capitalizing. I was very sloppy when I was doing the teleprompter version of this, the scripts. I didn't care if there were periods at the ends of sentences, because they didn't matter. They were broken up in teleprompter. Now I have to go through, and I'm finding a lot of places I just forgot to put periods at the ends of sentences because they were broken up on the page. So that is a piece of it. The first thing that's hitting me is this is more pages than I thought it was going to be. I really had in my dreams a very, very slim, simple book, like The Elements of Style by E.B. White, which I always, when I was young, I looked at it, I was like, this book is barely 100 pages. Why do I want this? Why don't I want an encyclopedia? I want everything. Now, more and more, I feel like the thing I want most is something where I can go in, read a couple sentences, maybe a page or two, and then put it aside and get back to me, to my work, to life. That is how I want. Like when I'm learning how to do these things in self-publishing, and you'll get some big like how-to thing that like takes you through the entire history of printing and so it's like, I don't care. I want to know how to format a page. So the more that I can get this book to be like that, that's my goal. And so the fact that it was 237 pages, and this is 8.5 by 11 pages, which means that when it's reduced to a paperback size, it's going to be longer. On the other hand, it will be on both sides of the page, so it'll be thinner. So that's good. But that I'm trying to deal with, not the picture I had in my mind is not what reality is going to be. Not better or worse, honestly, but this is one of the biggest, it's not even a stumbling block. It's like a slowing block. It's like a thing where it just stops me from moving, stops me from working. And I've realized that one of the biggest is I think I know how things are going to go. And I'm realizing I have a lot to learn, literally. So I made that the title of this episode, A Lot to Learn. Because even when, like, I have done a lot of projects, but I haven't done a lot of books. I wrote one novel in 1988 and 89. So we're talking a long time between books. So I'm in over my head, which is great. Okay, so let me do some quick questions. Thank you, Jin. I read that when you focus on a tree, you don't see the forest. That is true. It is also true sometimes you look at the forest and it's so big that you can't even handle it and you freak out, which is what happens to me. Hi, She Breathes in Gold. Very, very nice. I'm glad that you can catch me live. It's great to see you here. Burgundy, hi. It is my first draft. It is my first printed draft. The first draft was I simply compiled all the teleprompter scripts. Then I went through it the first time and I simply, like a teleprompter script is just like broken up. It's like poetry centered so that I can read it while I'm doing the videos. Not that I do these lives with a teleprompter, but when I do the short videos, I'll take a little section of text, whatever I think I can remember in one shot, and I'll put that up and I'll read it, perform it 3 or 4 times, and then I'll cut, then go to the next one. So that teleprompter version was the first version. And then I compiled them all into a great big document to start making it a book. Then the first thing I had to do was just turn it all into sentences, because it wasn't sentences. So that was essentially, like, officially the first draft. Then I started to edit. I did 4 drafts like that. 4 drafts, just go here. Why not just show you? Hold on. Okay, let me get, let me get to it. All right, here we go. So, this is the I can't see it while I do it. This is the list of chapters, and each one, as you see, is colored a certain color. That's because when I worked in them, you can label them in Scrivener. So my first draft was light blue. Then there was a yellow, a little better, then not bad, then good, and now we're at polish. And the first polish. So I have done 4 drafts of every single one of these chapters. So that's what I've been doing. So this is technically the 5th or 6th draft. It is the first one I've printed out, and now I am doing another pass with a pen and paper. Which it's a different way of thinking. I don't like one better or the other, but it's simply, you see it differently. Just like at a certain point, it was all in Helvetica, and I changed the typeface, and it was like, whoa! It actually really, really changed my ability to read it. Anyway, so that's where we are so far. And just very briefly, I want to say that I'm going to get into the details of the editing and stuff. But one of the big things that I've come into realizing is the idea that I don't know how to market it, that I don't know how to, there's so many things I don't know how to do. Publish it, just actually publish it, but I'm learning that. But one of the things I realized is I don't have an email list. I don't have a way to contact people. So I'm setting up a Substack, and I'm going to try and get everyone to sign on to the Substack. But I do want to ask all of you right now, because I'm going to ask some questions later. If you are willing, contact me at writingforscreens.com. You'll see a contact form which will open up an email. And just tell me if you're interested in answering some questions about how you learn about screenwriting. I'm trying to start to build my. I haven't started the Substack yet. I haven't got it out there yet. But eventually, I want to be able to ask you questions like, do you buy screenwriting books? If so, where do you buy them? How do you, other than watching this, how do you learn and teach? What do you do? So just consider reaching out to me, and go to writingforscreens.com, click contact me. I'm also going to be redoing my website, simplifying it, but for the moment you can contact me and I'd appreciate it. All right. So She Breathes in Gold asks, are you going to self-publish or traditionally publish the book? I am going to self-publish it. And that's one of the things that I have a lot to learn about. The main reason I'm self-publishing it is simply I want to get it over with. I want to get it done. And the process of publishing traditionally, it's going to take, I have to find an agent who would represent it and get it to and even if I don't, if I reach out to the publishers and editors myself, we're talking months before they even read it, or even if they like it, it would be months of editing and then months more of waiting for it to be published. I want this out. I want this out by September. That is my plan. And the reason I want it out by September is because I want to move on to finishing and publishing my novel, which I may try traditional publishing, but I need to get this going. So that's what I have been doing. And the other reason I'm going to self-publish this is because there is screenwriting books, there are a lot of them. It's a very narrow market. It's like most people don't want a screenwriting book. The major publishers are not going to want screenwriting books. And so therefore, what's the point? They're not going to help me reach a wider audience because there is not a wider audience for this. There's people who want to be writers. That's it. And also this means I can just move faster. In theory, I get all the whatever I charge, that money all comes to me. Of course, I also have to pay for a book designer and a copy editor and things. So, will I actually make money? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm hoping to not lose money. That's my goal. Okay. Akari says, Printed helps to edit. I just published my long nonfiction book as a trilogy. 134 pages, 377 pages, 108 pages for the third. FYI, formatting for digital and print is a lot of... Yes, that is why, like I said, I'm probably going to hire a professional book designer to help me. But I am learning a lot about how to format a manuscript for digital publication or print on demand. She breathes in, says, I'm just like you in terms of not wanting to hand over my work until I'm done with everything I can do. The problem is that I always feel I can do it all. Yes, I feel you. Where do you draw the line for yourself? In this particular case, I hit a point about 3 weeks ago where I wanted to show it. I was like, I did my first pass with the new typeface, and it began to look like something that someone could read. And now I actually want to show it to people, partly because I'm hoping that they don't suddenly, they don't say radically rethink this, because I'm not sure I can or will, but I want to get this done. So the urgency is pressing me to give up on the I have to do it, get it all perfect. I have to get past the things I evidently don't like. I don't like that I have not formatted my capitals correctly. For headings, I couldn't decide whether I wanted them to be every word has an initial cap or whether or not it's just the first cap, things like that. But the edits, if I'm still finding that I've got things that I can cross out or rewrite, it's not ready to show to someone. But I'm getting to where those are smaller and smaller. So that's the big thing. The line I'm going to draw is within the month, I want to give it to people, because also it's a lot to read. I can't expect people to read it overnight. So we'll see. I've got a bunch of comments there. I'm going to let me run through my topics, and then I will get onto your comments because they look very interesting. Okay, the first, here, I'm going to show you my current notes that I'm reading from, because they're on the screen, so it's like my own little teleprompter. And the next little message I have for you is what I am discovering is everything is more complex and demanding than it looks from outside, especially when you're daydreaming or planning things. Among the things I am realizing I have to learn about are book design, realizing that I have been using Scrivener wrong. I'm learning to love Scrivener even more, but and I'll talk about how I've been doing it wrong. And also I have to learn about how to hire a freelance person. I've never hired anyone. And then learning about starting a Substack, and because in order to publish something, I need a place where people can go. A YouTube channel isn't enough. I need an actual place where my publications can go, where I can contact people, where I can put my writing out. So I'm going to do that on Substack. So the point is, all of those things, each one of those is a massive amount to learn. And I may end up hiring a tutor for some of that. But for instance, hiring a freelance book designer, learning how to go on, there's several sites, Upwork and Fiverr, where I can put out the job and say, hey, I've got a 300-page screenwriting manual that I'm going to need to have book designed for online, for digital and print publication. So those are the things that I am starting to I just started to open folders or documents to say, okay, I have to write down what are the steps to designing a book. And it's just a lot. It's just and I go down into rabbit holes. And the problem is my way of dealing with things that are harder than expected is to scale up the plan, like to say, oh, now I have to learn how to do this and this and this. Like I have to redesign my website. And so I keep on adding. Like what happened is I had one folder for self-publishing, and then one for Substack, and one for the website, and one for marketing a book, and one, blah, 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 blah. And then there's so many things to attend to that I don't even remember to open, like I'll get, I'll be stuck on the Substack one and spend 4 or 5 days rabbit holing into Substack. And then I realize, wait, I haven't even finished finding a book designer. So I believe that I have learned something about myself, which is I should not, when I find myself, when the gates open and I look and I see a landscape full of things I have to learn and it's overwhelming, instead of saying, I'm going to take it all on, I have to say, I have to scale back the plan. I have to do less steps. I have to simplify my list of things to do and put it all in one place where I can look at it and go, oh yeah, I still have to upgrade I'm trying to upgrade my eCam so that I have a better quality broadcast and stuff like that. Just so many things I say, oh yeah, if I'm going to move ahead on this is the list of things I need to do. It's too big. And I keep learning the same lesson, but my instinct is take it all on, learn it all, do it all. And I have to try to learn to cut it down to steps I can take right now. And the first one is do the actual work on the book. If I don't get the manuscript done, it doesn't matter if I have a book designer. I have nothing to show them. I don't even know what to ask them yet because I don't know, for instance, how many different types of format I'm going to want, because I have subheadings, I have chapter headings. I have to think about, do I want various steps? And I need to do that in the text. So the actual answer just keeps on getting back to, don't lay out 1,000 things you might do or you could do or you hope you could do. Lay out 10 things that you really have to do and get those done. Because when you do those, as I've said, the spiral process actually even applies here, then you know how to do the next step or how to learn the next thing. So that is what I'm trying to do, is learn to not, I tend to freeze up when I'm entering unfamiliar territory and I make bigger and bigger plans, but that actually means avoiding doing it. So that is the state of the situation right now. I'm going to get to your questions now, but I do want to ask, for anyone who's here, do you go on TikTok to learn things about writing? Do you go to, where do you go? Are there sites? Do you have a Facebook group? Where is it that you go to learn screenwriting? One thing I'm trying to figure out is, if I was going to advertise, where would I advertise? If I was going to reach out, where would I reach out to? Are there other channels or magazines or sites or groups? How do you use what I do? Aside from what I do, how do you use this? How do you find it? How do you seek it? What do you find useful? Anybody comment now or send me an email or comment in the comments if you're not live. It would actually be really helpful to get comments where people tell me, what do you do to study or learn or engage with screenwriting teaching? Because I'm trying to figure out how to get to people. All right. Adam says, I'm a marketer and you have published and have published several books, as I do. Yes. Okay, cool. I'm writing it down. Check Adam for information about publishing and marketing. Great. Hello, A Link. How are you? I see your hand. Diamond Epsilon. Hello. I don't think I've ever met you. I was sort of curious. How would you go about writing a character's grief without showing the one they're grieving? That is a cool question. Let's talk about that. I think the first thing I would do is brainstorm. In other words, I don't know your situation. I don't know your character. I don't know your story. I don't know your medium. But what I would say is, the thing I would do is think, what do I know about this person? For instance, if they're a truck driver or if they're a, executive at a pharmaceutical company in a corner office, they're going to be very different in their daily life, and their grieving is going to come in their daily life. Who do they have relationships with? Who would they be trying to conceal or reveal their feelings to? What if they are grieving? Is it immediately after the loss, or much later? Because that would also change. So what I would do is brainstorm. If you don't know how I brainstorm, I would be happy to recommend a video I've done called Brainstorming. Brainstorming in scrap piles. I will put a link to that video in the description below this about 10 minutes after I get done here at 2 o'clock. But I would say, Diamond, the first thing you want to do is start to work with what you have and think like, okay, corner office executive, are they, what is their grieving like for them? What is their personality? What is your story? And how does the grieving fit into the story? Because like, if the story is about how the grieving is going to make them change their life, then you need to see the cracks opening up in their life where the things are not working for them. You need to show the ways. And so I would just like, how do I show them having fights with people or withdrawing? Do they start to go off by themselves? Do they find a grief group? I would just brainstorm and on paper, this is very important, always, or not paper, on a page. It could be digital. But when I brainstorm, one of the most important things is ask yourself a specific question, and then write down every possible thought that comes from it. Just jot it down, type it, whatever. And then later you look at it and you begin to think, oh, that one doesn't work. And put down the ones that don't work. It's fine. But I guess the answer is, how would I go about writing a character's grief without showing the one they're grieving? Well, first of all, if you're worried that people won't understand that they're grieving, they can talk about it, or other people can ask. They can say like, wow, I know your pet died. Are you okay? Or there's ways to do that. But also often there's a signifier. For instance, if it was a pet that died, did they keep the leash or the fish tank or whatever it is that associated the cat food bowl? We recently lost our cat, and it took a while before we would get rid of the cat bed. So there's things like that. But also there's habits people have. Like if they were, if they're mourning a family member or a lover, they will have things they did together, which they then would be doing alone. So those are some ways I would say to start with talking about showing their grieving without showing the grieved one. Doreen asks, how or where will you find your book designer? Currently, I am looking on sites where people freelance. Upwork and Fiverr are the two sites that I know about. And I'm just putting out a notice, hey, looking for a book designer. It's, this length. I'm hoping to do it in this time period. And one of the things I'm learning, this is what I mean, these things, I realized the designers very often work on an hourly scale. I would rather work on a step scale, like first draft or first pass, like maybe 5 drafts of the design, like an initial meeting. And then, I'll give you some ideas and you come out, show me a possibility. I'll do some talking about changing it and we'll move through. I'd rather do it like that than hourly. Hourly is frightening and confusing to me because I've never worked as a writer. I was never hourly. Someone would give me money for a draft, or a step, a treatment or an outline, whatever. Anyway, so the point is I realized I have to ask them, are you okay working in steps? And say like, it's going to cost X amount of dollars to do the first sketches or whatever. I don't know what they need, and I don't know what they need from me. So a lot to learn. I have a lot to learn. So it's yes, thank you. What I'm recognizing is I'm going to take it. This is a sign I have over my desk, and I'm going to take it down so I can show it to you. I made this sign 2 years ago, printed it out, and it says, simplify, clean up, clean out, leave only a doable set of tasks in front of you. Everything else, archive or trash. Okay, that's literally, like you saw, I just pulled it off. You can see the little holes where I had it's pinned to a cork board in front of me. That had nothing to do with writing a book, but it's my problem in general, is when I have something to do, I tend to add steps. I tend to write down every possible step I'm going to need to know, and I make these big lists of things to do. And what happens is the list gets so big that I don't even look at it anymore, or I only look at one part, or worse. The worst thing I do is I start to make multiple lists of things to do. And then like one of my lists has to be, look at the other list, idiot. So that is what I'm working on now is this. Trying to leave only a set of doable tasks in front of you. Like, would it be cool to learn how to design a book myself? Yes. Not right now. Make a list, steps that I have to do to get this book out by September. So that is what I'm doing. She Breathes in Gold says, yay, I'm so happy you will self-publish. I look forward to supporting it. Thank you. That is very kind. You've given all so much. The least we can do. Thank you. I'm feeling good about my writing advice. Reading it has helped me to say, I want this out in the world in a form that people can get it. Because one of the things I know about all these live streams is nobody should watch this many hours of me. So I want to get it. I want to figure out ways to make my stuff more accessible. By accessible, I mean like if you have a question, you know where to look. You know where, like an index, like a table of contents where you can say, here's where he talks about dialogue, or here. And that's why I made my videos the way I did. But I need to keep doing that, especially with these live streams. I may cut them into pieces or something. I don't know. Yes, on the other hand, yes, exactly. This knowledge will be useful for my novel. That is exactly why I decided to do this one first. So yes. Michael says, I learned a lot from the breakdown of your script, but the real bonus was studying your films. Well, thank you. That is cool. Lisa Starr says, YouTube mostly to learn. Well, that's good. I am on YouTube. I'm good with that. I will keep YouTubing. Interesting. Okay. Diamond, I have been a part of the channel for a little while, but only now catching a stream. Yay. I am so glad. This is fascinating because I haven't really been attending to this channel except the weekly live streams. I don't put out short videos, and YouTube has been slowly not recommending me as much. So I have fewer subscribers and fewer views, which I'm okay with because I'm not providing new stuff. And I know that everyone wants new stuff. I'm hoping the book will provoke new stuff. To learn about screenwriting these days, I go to YouTube and books. Cool. Not on social media, but I'm an old fart. Yeah, me too. Any school or place that teaches film or screenwriting would be a good place. Yeah, that is definitely true. Thank you, A-Link. Burgundy says to Diamond Epsilon, I agree with Glenn, plus I would add, who was the person who died? Yes, exactly. The grief is basically missing them, their personalities, their hobbies, their habits. Yes, regarding that issue of how do you portray grief, one of the things is, what was this person to them? Have we ever seen them? Are we starting a story where the loss has already happened? Or are we going to see them for a while and then have us lose them? Because those are very different. If you've never ever seen this person and you don't know about them because the loss happened before the beginning of the story, then you need to find moments in which you will let us know who they are. You're going to do that through dialogue of your characters talking about it, or in some way you need to like brainstorm how, maybe you're doing flashbacks, or maybe there's going to be, like I said, a grief group or therapy, or a diary, or a person that they talk to, in a voiceover where they talk to the gone person. I don't know. There's like I said, the key thing is there's no such thing as a bad idea. There's an idea that works for you and your project. So what you need to do is brainstorm all those possibilities. Like I said, stuff that you wouldn't think, like you could do it like in Hamlet, the father's a ghost. You could do a ghost, you could do a person, you could do like they become obsessed with reincarnation and they're looking for the one, and they get involved in a church, a special cult that says that they can connect you with their, your lost ones, or like a spirit, a medium. And that's how you would find it. There's so many ways, and it's not like one's right or wrong. It's how you're going to, what feels right for you. Um, I don't know. Okay. Um, is there a storytelling problem you still struggle to solve? Well, this is interesting because I'm currently making the change from writing scripts, which is what I'm teaching here, to writing fiction novels, which is what I am hoping to be teaching here. And in fiction and novels, there's a lot of storytelling problems because I haven't done it much. Like I said, I wrote a novel in 1989, and since then I have not. So I am trying to learn the difference of storytelling through um, uh, just words, because I'm used to thinking in terms of filmmaking. So there's a lot of storytelling problems. The good thing is I grew up reading novels and novels and novels. So they're all in my head. The language of novels is there. My chosen methods of using it, I'm still exploring. And I will get into that more. I have a whole series about writing my novel. And I talk about the problems I'm facing in terms of there's a narrator in that case. So I have to write first person, which obviously as a screenwriter, I am not used to doing. Stuff like that. Yes. So I would say if you really want to watch in detail about the storytelling problems I have yet to solve, go to the series of live streams called Writing My Novel. You'll find it down there somewhere. Okay. Yeah. Sammy passed several months ago. Yeah. I'm writing all this down. Thank you, Burgundy. Yeah. It is available. The brainstorm, like I said, I will put a link to the brainstorming video, but it's there on my channel. All of my videos are. Okay. Let me quickly run through some. Thank you. Yes. Are you going to make an ebook version of the book? Absolutely. I'm going to do an ebook version, which will go to Amazon, but also to Apple and to whoever else I can, like Nook or whatever I can get to. But I'm also going to do print-on-demand paperback physical paper books, which will also be available through Amazon and through whatever. I'm still learning about Ingram and the distribution to, I mean, stores are mainly not going to take it because they're not going to have heard of it. And there's very few stores that are going to sell screenwriting books, honestly. But if there are, I'm certainly going to reach out to them. Like there's a store in New York called the Drama Bookstore. So we'll see. Skepular says, what makes a story feel necessary versus just entertaining? Well, that's going to be kind of a personal thing, isn't it? I mean, what's necessary to me on a different day even is different. Like some days what's necessary is something that's far away from what I'm doing. And so I want, like over the weekend, I went to Mission Impossible. That's nothing like what I'm doing, but it was a blast and I loved it. So that was necessary to me. Necessary is for you to define. If it's about something that you care about, that you feel is important that people know, that makes it necessary. But otherwise, it's just good. What makes something necessary can be that people hear other people are looking at it or reading it, and they are saying it's so good you have to see it, or it's whatever. That makes necessary is a very tricky thing. All right. Books on writing in general for Burgundy and YouTube for writing and directing. That makes sense. And even acting, neat. I believe that every writer should learn about directing and acting because if you're a screenwriter, if you're a novelist, you don't need to do that. But I do think it helps. Arkmish, hello. Mostly about learning. Mostly Amazon app is how you do it, to browse and read reviews of books. Udemy videos, thank you, tutorials, Reddit, and Quora discussions. Reddit, that's good. Yeah, I'm thinking of getting into Reddit. Quora I don't know much about. I will think. What helps is getting us involved in your channel. Yes, that is true. And Burgundy says to Diamond Epsilon, welcome, hope it helps. I just remembered. Everyone leaves some trace of their existence behind, feelings, words, material things. That is very, very true. That is, I mean, it will depend on your story and circumstances, but if you can find some signifier, or even if it's just like this person in their life, they always loved the leaves, like in fall, the changing of the leaves, and then you see the leaves, it's gonna do it. The question is, how do you let the audience know about that passion for leaves? That's where you want to find. You have to think, what are the resources available in a movie, in a show, in a script, in order to express this? Because in a book, you can just write, Sally used to love in the fall when the leaves fell. She would collect them and put them on the window. Cool, you got it. In a script, it's different. You need to find some form of dialogue or action that is going to express information that you're trying to convey. I think the best way to learn to write is to sit down and write. I agree. Although, as a person who's writing a book about how to write, I do hope that people include that in their list of things to learn from. Cool. So great. I really appreciate it. Please do reach out to me if you in the comments. If you are watching this, let me know how it is that you learn and how you think you would, if you were looking for a book, how would you look for the book, or what helps you to find books? Because I'm going to try and figure out how to get my book for people to read. I think I'm actually going to do some survey videos, right? I know that YouTube can do surveys. And I'm also, like I said, I'm going to start a Substack as a way to collect, to connect to people, because Substack gets sent to you. Like right now, I have many, many subscribers, but very few actually watch every video. Certainly very few watch live streams. I'll get like 500-600 views on a live stream because it's long, it's too long, and it's not a form that everyone is going to want. So my question is, of the other 20,000 people who showed interest in my work, how do I reach them? I'm obviously going to make some little videos to put out there to say, hey, there's a book out there. But I also believe that Substack, or which is an email, it sends you an email with posts, little essays. Anyway, so let me get back to Skepular's original question. Skepular asked early on, is there anything you've unlearned about storytelling over the years? Yes, indeed, there is. First of all, one of the main things I've unlearned is the idea that there is a formula. That really, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this is the absolute importance that I've found of not thinking that there is an answer out there that you follow a rule and it will make your thing good, because it won't. And in fact, I believe that makes things bad. In other words, if you are so intent on checking the boxes of a system that any writing teacher is giving you, you are probably withdrawing yourself in one level from your work itself. Every work is different. Every single time you write something, it's a little different. It's going to have its own needs. And one of the things I had to unlearn was the belief that there was some ritual or formula or rule or universal anything that you had to adhere to. So I had to unlearn that. The other thing I had to unlearn was the idea that we can understand the work that goes into, frankly, anything, but in the arts certainly, that we can understand that by looking at the finished product. I mean, I don't know much about carpentry, but I know that you can't look at a chair and know how they made it. You might think you can, but in fact, where they ordered the wood from and whether or not they treated the wood before they cut it, or how they use the power saw to cut the legs. These are things you cannot see unless you are learning how to do the thing from the construction side. when we watch movies and when people analyze and teach movies, they tend to teach it as if you can break apart the finished work and say, this shows you that they did this to connect to that, but they may not have. And so it's really important to learn how much we don't know about how people got to things. And that's why I'm become more and more of a fan of behind the scenes interviews. There is a really great magazine, online magazine called Backstory. He also does a podcast called The Q&A with Jeff Goldsmith. These are great insights, interviews with people about how things happened, how they made them. The more that you can do that, the more that you recognize that there was no way you would have known that this was the process. And learning about process, learning about the forces that forced people to do what later seemed inevitable, and like, oh, they must have done that from the start. They must have intended that from the start. I just learned about the Mission Impossible movies that Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie have gotten to the point where they are so devoted to the exceptional stunts that they actually think of the stunts first and do the story after. In other words, they say, how can we want to do a submarine thing and we want to do a biplane thing? What story would lead to that? And they work backwards from there. There's no way you would, I mean, you can sort of say, oh, that makes sense, but you never would know it from watching it. So when people, and this is why I don't spend my time doing a lot of analysis, like showing clips and explaining the workings, because I don't know how they got there. I can talk about how it works in terms of the success of that thing, but when there's no way we know what happened to make work be. So I had to unlearn the belief that by looking at finished work, you can understand how to be an artist, because you can't. That's only a part of it. You have to learn about the process. So that's why I tend to push the process. Okay. Are you still in contact with Film Courage? Their videos with us led you to your channel in the first place, so maybe it would be good reaching out. Yes, I am definitely going to do that. The tricky thing with that is that I don't want to just go on Film Courage to promote, like Film Courage, they tend to teach things. Like, they'll take an interview about different things. And like in my case, they sat with me. They did a pre-interview. They say, what things do you like to talk about? And I gave them a list. They came up with a whole bunch of questions. I went in there and talked for 2.5 hours. They asked me questions. It was really hot. And then they cut that into little pieces. And then they put those out as videos. And that promotes your book. They asked me to come back because it's true. I am the #1 most viewed video on Film Courage. 4.5 million views of one of my videos. The algorithm. But the thing is, I will reach out to them and say, hey, I'm putting out a book, but I don't know what to do because I don't want to come on and say the same things, and I've got nothing new to say. So I don't know. I have to see if they can think of some way that I can get to them and promote things with them without reteaching things. Because the reason I'm doing this book is because I've said everything I have to say about scripts. Almost everything I'm saying in these live streams is basically repeating what I have said in some form or another. I do believe that the goal of my life is to have you no longer want to hear from me, but to feel like, oh yeah, I can take those principles and go do my work. So anyway, I think there's a podcast in which directors and screenwriters talk about their process, but I can't remember that. Yes, there are a bunch, and those are great. I urge you to check out those podcasts. I know that Craig Mazin and John August have a podcast. There's a lot of screenwriting podcasts. There's one called The Screenwriting Life, which I actually really like. I know the people who do it. Screenwriting Life. I don't think I have that here. Oh yeah, I do. Boom. The Screenwriting Life podcast. That's great. So yeah. And in fact, I'll contact them and say, hey, I got a book. Should I come on? Anyway, thank you very much, Anshul. I appreciate you looking forward to the book. That is great. Adam has been rewatching the character videos as I read up to my 4th feature script. Good for you. I'm going to focus on two-hander dialogue and character focus. It's where I'm weak, nowhere to hide. That is exactly what I think you should do. That's what I'm doing too, is you set yourself a specific thing that you think, I'm not great at that. Let me construct a project that will focus on that thing that I want to do that I haven't done enough of. So bravo. So yeah, listen, I'm going to take off soon. I'm going to put the link to brainstorming down there. Please do comment about how you learn about screenwriting. Does anyone here go on TikTok? I honestly have never been, but I do believe there's a lot of how-to stuff out on TikTok. I'm thinking of trying it. I don't know.